Welcome back, guys, to Oz Fury Gaming. You're with Alec today, running through the Starfarer. And this is not any Starfarer, this is the Gemini, so this is the military version. So if you guys aren't aware of the difference between the two, the Gemini is actually a military grade version of it. So it's got upgraded shields, upgraded, hulls a bit better. But what's mainly different about it is the turrets. So you've got two turrets on the rear, which is a standard thing, alright? And then you've got a turret on top. But what's also different about it is that you actually have guns on the side of where the cockpit is. Now the standard Starfarer doesn't get that. Now if we actually get a bit closer, we'll have a look at those guns and you'll come to see that the gun size on them is actually not too bad. So I have to get it right. So it's size 4 guns. So it's a full turret. And also too, we have missiles on the front, which are size 3 ordnance, which I must say do quite well against fighters. And then you can't quite see, but there we go. There's a bit, you can see the turret now, and that's, I'm fairly certain, a size 4 guns as well. So what's also been promised is with the Starfarer, because it's actually meant to be a fuel transport, that's its primary purpose. It is also a cargo transport, but this missile bank here is actually able to be removed. It's modular, and it can be replaced with a hydrogen fuel collector and refinery. So basically what you can do is, as you're flying through space with your cargo, if you want to opt out for not having missiles, you can stick that on and it will actually fill these rounds, or these cylinders here, these containers, with fuel. So not only can you use it for yourself and to fill up other ships in your fleet, but you can also use it to sell. So I think that's a very good mining resource, not mining, but a utility resource that you can use. So instead of having to mine it or whatever, you can just create it. So this is how we get in. Nice little fancy ramp up. Now as we come in, as you can see, if you've watched any of the Caterpillar videos on YouTube, the Caterpillar, in my opinion, probably has a larger space for hard cargo in its hull. But saying that though, the Caterpillar doesn't have the hull thickness or the strength that this Starfarer possesses. Also too, I'd like to point out that these little containers on the back can be switched out later in progression, looking around Alpha 3.0, for hard containers, similar to how a lot of other ships, like if you have a look at your the starting Aurora, how it holds cargo on the rear, how it just sits there, it'll be a very similar setup. So as we see, this is up to the second story. So this is where you get to the cockpit and you start getting to the real innards of the ship. So this is you can go this way. So we'll keep moving around. This ladder will take you up to the third story into the maintenance area. So we'll have a look at that a little bit later. So as we keep walking through, this is a better view. Now this is myself and the guys in our organisation, Final Frontier Industries, have theorized, basically come up with the idea that this will be the way to monitor your cargo, where it's going to be, what it's going to be, and all that sort of business. So as we come up into here, these are escape pods. As you can see, there's 6 escape pods here that are usable, which is very good considering that there is a space for 5 people in the crew here. So I'd imagine that it's designed that if you've got an extra runner between decks, that if they need to bail out, you can. So as you can see, here's this orb again, like that was on the other ships that I've been displaying throughout the other videos. Now, from what I understand, that this is meant to be like a galaxy map or some sort of thing. But as you can see, it disappears when you sit in, so probably meant to actually be attached to this cockpit. So we'll go a bit of a test fly later, but as you can see here, we have our different guns, the ammo charge, the heat levels, all that sort of thing. But I'd like to point out too that these are ballistic weapons, so they have an ammo, and therefore too, they're not energy, so that's one thing to keep an eye out for. This is where we'll have our targeting, the target that we're locked onto, and then as you can see, very, very standard flight controls. Once again, we have our throttle and the priority power. So we'll hop out of that. So on this side we have the co-pilot seat. And what do we do for the co-pilot? Jack shit, really. It has our shield display, our energies and all display and all that business. Also our recharge rate and our health, which is very nice to have. In 2.5, you couldn't always tell how your plating was doing. So we'll hop out of this now. Okay, so this is our support seat. So as you can see here, it's all been nicely done up. And this is literally power priority and our power throttle. So basically, from what I understand, that this will instead of obviously the co-pilot looks after the shields. This guy who will be very important in making sure that when the captain tells them, we want more firepower or we need to get out of here, give bulk power to the good old engines. That's what this bloke will be doing. So now we move to the last chair, as that chair over there is actually just another support seat. This is the captain's seat. So literally in the captain's seat, you don't actually do a great deal except you monitor the ship's health. Like as you can see in the top left-hand corner of our HUD, it lets us know what's damaged on the ship, what's good on the ship. Now as you can see here, the only disadvantage with the Starfarer, which I suppose everything has to have its Achilles heel, is this shield, the visor, the windscreen is very narrow. Now, thankfully we have a good targeting system applied to this ship, but when you're trying to engage a target, it can be quite tricky when you've got such limited eye line. So moving on, we'll get up to the third story of this ship. Now, as I was mentioning earlier about the carrier size, I did double check to the cargo capacity of this ship, and it far greatly outweighs the Caterpillar for cargo capacity. But the Caterpillar is meant to be more of a pirate ship, and it's modular. So in the fact too is you can actually take out those cargo slots and apply weapons. So as you can see here, we've got some more escape pods, which is at the mouth of one of our turrets. This hallway is simply just to get to this turret. So the turret sits underneath. So try not to get too lost with how we're positioned. Well, that was a disappointment. I was hoping to show you guys that in 2.5 it was doing the same thing, but that's really annoying. Alright, so we'll keep it moving. So I'll show the ship from here is relatively symmetrical. So in here is what we theorize to be the engine. This is going to be the gravity generator, from what we believe. Some more escape pods. So that's to the other turret. Now that's that maintenance hatch. So if we jumped into here, right down that end there is where that ladder was. You can slightly see the ladder on that right hand side. And so we'll keep moving though. So here we are again. So the gravity generator is just through that wall, on the other side of that wall to us. So this is a little maintenance hatch, and that's the ladder that we're looking up over here. So that's where we came down. That's where you can go down on that second story. Now this takes you up to a little maintenance hatch on the top, but we'll look at that a little bit later. So as we keep moving forward, this brings us to a lift, which is disappointing too. They still haven't fixed the use for the lift, as we can see, as it's not the new display. But we'll look past that. This is not an old ship, but it was the largest ship in the game. It's still the most heavily weighted ship, but the Caterpillar is longer by roughly about 15 to 20 meters. So this is the captain's quarters. So I'd envision that there would be a chair here that we can custom set up for whatever we want. There's going to be some more cargo and all sorts of garbage going on here. So in the captain's quarters we have a bed here. As you can see, it's so luxuriously open, with a dunny to flush all our shit away. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Probably a bath or something, and then a very actually tall water dispenser. So this is the crew's quarters. So this is where they come up and have a feed. This is the kitchen, and on this side of the ship is where the crew sleep. So we've got a little sitting area. Toilets are through here, and they have a male and female toilet. And there's nothing really at the back. These are just lockers to store personal items in. And then on top here, this is our turret. Who's going to let me have a go? Alright. So let's just walk into it and get in. Hopefully this won't spaz out like it did the other time. Alright, so it won't let us turn around, but as you can see, the guns on this turret are actually quite powerful. Quite easy in dealing with lighter fighters if the gun is good enough. Now, on the other sides of this turret are these doors, which literally lead through to the maintenance access for level 1. So there's not much going on here. As you can see, we're back down, and here we are, back to that staircase. Now, if you're ever in trouble and the lift's up or you can't get it down or it's taking too much time, you can use the ladder to the left here to get yourself up. So for that little maintenance hatch from before, this is actually the ladder that will that leads down there. So as you can see, that's our ladder that goes down again. And this is very handy in the fact that if you need to get from your first story up, and you know what you're doing, like so for example, if someone's actually breached your ship and gotten in, you need to hold this ladder to actually stop them infiltrating, because once they get to this ladder, it's probably going to be all over if they have a good enough crew. So one last thing I want to show you guys is this, the catwalk. So this, from what I reckon, will be a actual way to monitor what's inside each fuel capsule or what's in each cargo hold. Also, what I could imagine happening is basically just having firefights off the back of this as you're trying to load up stuff. So here's another cool little feature. We have a little lift. So guys, probably one of the questions you're wondering too about this ship, or one of the reasons why you're watching this video is, do I want this ship and is it worth it? In my opinion, yes. I paid the extra money for it over the Starfarer just standard for that military grade build, and I feel that it's been the right choice. I plan to use this with multiple crews, so unless if you're playing by yourself, I would not recommend this ship. I would recommend a freelancer, or if you want to spend the extra cash, I'd be interested in picking up the Constellation Andromeda. That's a very good, well-rounded ship. As I was talking about the Constellation Andromeda being a good single-player ship, that is the drawbacks of this ship, is that it really, like, you can pilot it by yourself, but don't expect to do well with it, having a high running cost when in-game. And also, to another drawback that comes with this ship is the fact that it is so large. Like, it is hard to maneuver, it's hard to fight. Yes, it's got a huge cargo capacity, but it really gets outweighed by the fact that you gotta struggle with it all the time. It's like driving a big four-wheel drive in the city, or a truck. In my opinion, the Freelance is a good beginner's ship if you want something small to start off with, because obviously when you start the game with your career, you're not going to be able to enjoy the things such as, having money for little extra stuff. And also too, when talking about extra little stuff, this ship, well, as much as it's got military grade shields, as much as it has this amazing turret and side guns on the side for the pilot, and not to forget the turrets on the back of each wing, or each side, this ship hasn't got a great deal of firepower in the middle or anywhere. Like, if you get attacked by, say, a dozen pirates, you will have a hard time, especially if they're well equipped with sabers or anything else, especially if they have a stalker, an Avenger stalker, and they hit you with an EMP. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. So besides the high running costs, its slight lack of firepower, that only is really accumulated if you're a single operator. If you have a multi-crew where you can defend yourself on the corridors, which I might say are very well designed for a defensive strategy, I think this would make a great ship for the price tag it carries on the RSI website. Now this ship will be available in game obviously, but as Chris Roberts has stated many a time before, buying these ships off the store are actually a lot cheaper in comparison for the time it takes to earn in game. Because like I was saying before, when you have your missions, your careers, you start off with small income missions. So this is not exactly the greatest ship to run. So as we can see from here, just the size difference between the ships. You got the Avenger Titan, the MISC Freelancer, and the Andromeda Constellation. And like, if you're a single operator, I'd choose the Titan any day of the week. It has cargo capacity. It's a ex-military hull, so it's strong. You can upgrade the shields. There's plenty of flexibility with the ship. But then if you want to move up to multi-crew, the Freelancer is a good two-person ship. Has the possibility for 4, but I just don't feel there would be enough cargo hold in the ship for 4 people to make money. Or if you were to make money, you'd be making very little. So you have to be a very tight-knit group. Now, as I've been showing too, that I'll be putting through some screenshots of the ships. For example, on the Freelancer here, the gun sizes on it are quite well armed for what it is. The size 3 guns are very good for a ship of that size, with a couple of size 3 ordnances and a couple of size 2 ordnances, which make it good against maybe up to 4 pirates by itself. This is talking in the MMO universe. When you go into Vandal Swarm or Pirate Swarm, well, obviously AI are not as good. Now, when we look at the Andromeda, we'll see that it actually has quite some serious guns. Size 4 guns, 4 of each on each side, and then the ordnances are quite powerful as well. The turrets themselves are a size 2 with doubled up. Now this ship, if you had 4 people, I feel would be quite excellent in maintaining that size, in the fact that there is enough for each person to do, in the fact that you've got a pilot and a co-pilot, you've got 2 turrets. It could take 5, obviously, as well, because there is a P-52 Merlin on the rear, which, like I say, you got to think about. A lot of pirates are going to be carrying those EMPs because they want to knock out your ship from running. So, I'm not sure if a Merlin will get affected by that, but that's something to take into consideration. So, with this ship as a Starfarer, I feel that you really want to run 6 people, 4 to 6 people, just because of the size. You've got the 3 turrets. 6 people means you have all 3 turrets manned, a captain, pilot, and co-pilot. I feel that's enough. There's the extra 2 seats, so that could make 8, and there is enough beating for 8. But like end of the day, you've got to think about, with this game, you want to progress. You don't want to just, like, having fun is one thing, but if you're looking for a progression system, a progression up the chain of size, then really Starfarer will struggle to get you there if you're a single operator, or even if you've got only 3 people. So that's what to take into consideration, and also the price tag. The Constellation is probably about $100 cheaper in Australia. The Freelance is probably 125 cheaper than the Andromeda again. That's just for the basic Freelance. Obviously, there are different variants. And then the Titan goes for $60 on the standard version, or $75 with the Renegade version, which already comes pre-equipped with the special skin and buffed guns, which I've talked about in the Titan run-through. So if you guys want to find out more about these ships, I'll be having videos posted about them at some stage, so you can check out the insides of them, and you can really make a decision. So with that wrapped up, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for choosing to watch me, and give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you didn't like it, if you felt there's something I could do better, just leave us a comment. and I'll do something better about it. Until next time, until next time, guys. We'll catch you later.